Meeting to order. It is Monday, July 15th at 5 p.m. If you would stand and join me in a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Father God, we come before you today and we just thank you for this meeting. We thank you for the business of Clewiston. So Lord, we ask for your guidance and your leading in every decision that's made. We thank you, Father, for the protection of our first responders and those that defend our country. And we give you the honor and glory. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I wonder if we should pass around our sign-in sheet because nobody signed in tonight. So I just don't know if we should pass it around after the. I think so. Maybe pass it around. Have them pass it around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you guys would sign in if you came in tonight, we would appreciate it. There's a sign-in sheet.
I mean, just so that Kathy has it for the record.
All right, very good. Manager, any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, sir.
All right, at this time, we'll have public comments. If it's regarding an agenda item, you're more than welcome to wait until that item comes up. Any public comments tonight? Please state your name and address, please.
Good afternoon. Rolly Gonzalez, 305 Via del Agua. It's working, correct? First of all, let me apologize to you and to the chief for interrupting your time last night because of a resident that was booty hurt, okay, regarding my signs. Both of you have gone above and beyond and left your families and took the time to call me regarding a vehicle which has my political signs on them parked in a commercial parking lot authorized by the owner. It's really hard for me to stand here and talk about this because on March 18th, Commissioner Molly and Hillary got on the radio. Hillary said that the morale of the city was really low. I don't think the morale of the city is really low. We make it low. Okay, we as residents make it low. We have a beautiful city here. And with that being said, I requested permission to put my signs up. I reached out to the city and I requested on June 21st, as everyone else, to put my signs up. On June 24th, I get a call along with an apology letter. And the letter had no date on it, stating that the policy has been approved by the city manager regarding signs for the political campaign of 2026. I'm sorry, 2016. 2016. The policy has been approved for the 2016. We're in 2024 now. So, with that being said, I received a letter from the chief this morning. The chief sent me a letter regarding my truck that has political signs on it. The chief was put up to this. So send me a letter. I'm the city manager, nobody else. And the commissioner is not on a day-to-day business. They don't run day-to-day business. I'm on the board somewhere else. I don't run day-to-day business. So I let the city manager run day-to-day business here in the city. So I want to get that cleared up as of today, because I did remove my political signs after I was authorized by the city to have them put out. I went back and I cooperated with the city manager on a daily basis because I have the text messages. And I as soon as I get a chance, I was going to take them off. And little by little, I did take them off. Correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, on my personal truck, Mr. Attorney, I have my political signs, and they look similar and almost exactly to the ones that I did in 2020, 2022, and now 2024. Now I'm having the city, I feel harassed by the city that my signs were on my truck, and they're 4x8 signs. And I have been asked to have my signs removed, as I sent you that email, removed from my personal truck. I'm making you aware. I sent the attorney the email, and where do we go from here? And I would like.
Well, it's I've given you well over 3 minutes.
Oh, there's other people that have taken over 60 minutes here
So,
before in the past.
This going to be resolved. So my suggestion is after the meeting, we're even going to have a break before we start our budget workshop, is we can get with Danny and the attorney and look at the ordinance and give you an answer.
I think that's fair. I already have the ordinance. I talked to council already, so I'm reaching to your council here. So where do we move forward from that? And again, my apologies to your families for them having to call you and have to jump on this last night on a Sunday evening, reaching out to me. Something that could have been solved today instead of a Sunday evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to clarify something that Mr. Gonzalez said since he mentioned my name. On March the 18th, we were at a city commission meeting, and any comments I make are public comments. And if the radio station deems to use any comment that I make, it is for the public record, but that I was not on the radio on that date. I was here at a commission meeting.
Okay, noted. Thank you. Anyone else for public comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Move that we approve.
Motion by Gardner, second by Edmonds. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, we have a presentation.
Mayor, they're running late, so I've asked David to come tonight from Johnson Engineering, give us some updates on the Ventura project, and maybe when he gets through, they'll be here. They're running a little late.
Okay, Dave?
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Dave Trudeau, Johnson Engineering. Just a real quick update on a couple projects. Ventura, that's one we've been working on for a little while. Talked with Tetra Tech. Their survey's in the door. They're planning on getting their 60% plans around the end of August. At that time, we'll come back to you. I know we were going to talk to business owners along that corridor to see what impacts that this project would have, to see if it's a move forward at that time, to see if it affects the church or some other businesses negatively, and see if we want to move forward. So we're anticipating kind of in the end of August time frame.
Dave, I'm sorry, what was that date again? What was the time frame that you said? There were 60%?
60% plans by the end of August.
Okay.
So we went from our conceptual back a few months back. They went out and surveyed it. Now they're moving towards 60% plans.
Right.
Okay. The C21 project, they're working through the parking lot modifications, working towards seal coating. They've already got the asphalt in for the additional strip near the bridge. Their seal coating is moving forward. That should be happening soon. They're ordering the 4 signs. We're working with, we were out there the other day looking on placement to see what makes sense of where those are exactly going to be placed. That's going to be a long lead item. We're working with a contractor about the timing of that, but they're working through those orders. Francisco, that's a SCOP agreement. We sent back the DOT signed agreement at the last commission meeting to DOT. We're waiting on the fully executed document from them. Stantec and the city we've agreed to a contract with Stantec that we'll bring to you. That'll be underneath that agreement. I'm anticipating that at the next meeting. Anything else? All the landscaping, phase 5 is out to bid right now. That's been pushed to July 25th as a bid opening. We worked with DOT. We had to re-advertise it. Didn't get any bidders the first time. Re-advertised it. We sent it out to 25 or 30 bidders. We're getting some a little bit more positive response this time, which is good. We want to use those funds. So we're anticipating that bid opening happening July 25th. Phase 6 of the design, which is the next one. We're working through that design as well. Talk to utility providers to make sure we're clear of them, which is the next phase further west towards the railroad tracks. So that's in the works of design. Anything else, Danny, you can think
I
of?
think that's good. Yep, thank you, David.
Even
You got a question? No.
Okay, we will move on. We have public hearings tonight. We'll go ahead and begin those. If the presentation people come in, we'll find a stopping point. Okay, the first one is ordinance number 2024-03. It's a public hearing. It's the final reading. And I'll read that by title. Ordinance number 2024-03, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Clewiston, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinance 50-7, storage on private property, providing for codification, providing for severability, providing for repeal of laws in conflict, and providing for an effective date. I will declare the public hearing open, and we'll have comments from anyone in the audience tonight. Seeing none, any comments or questions from the commission?
I haven't received any comments from the public on this, and I didn't know if maybe there had been any additional comments have been received on this
No.
at all. With Travis, you didn't receive anything either? Any additional comments, public comments on this after the P and Z?
With regard to Travis Reese Community Development. P&Z looked at this extensively. They did recommend removing the 60-foot requirement for having your travel trailer on your property. They did ask the commission to look at the number. There was some extensive discussion on that board about what should be the correct number allowed in the front yard or the front yard at all. So they really looked to the commission to have that discussion. So as your ordinance you have now would remove the requirement for the 60-foot setback. So it'd be up to the commission's discretion if you would like to put a restriction on the number of camper trailers you can have in your front yard, or leave it open.
As of now, it's open, correct?
Well, the
Yeah,
time
yeah.
frame,
Like,
Yeah,
Travis.
currently, right now, you're not allowed. You must store them in the backyard. I know that was a point of contention with some of the residents that some lots are smaller because this is a one-size-fits-all kind of for a city. This ordinance covers all zoning districts. So basically, the old ordinance has a setback, 60 foot, and typically, let me kind of recap zoning for you there. Our smallest setback in the city typically is 25 foot for a front yard. Typical house is about 30 feet. So that gives you somewhere close to 60, 55 feet. That's where I believe the 60 foot came from, was trying to get them in the rear yard. And they also had a side setback. You couldn't be closer to your neighbor than 10 feet, which is typical for an accessory structure. I say typical, some zoning districts allow 7.5, some are greater. When I was being accessory structure, I'm talking about built buildings like sheds. So what we're looking at here is how we regulate those on residential properties, on private property. So by removing it, then you can place it pretty much anywhere on your lot with any number. So I think the commission does need to address how many of those you could have on your property.
About a time frame.
Well, that's one thing that came up in discussion was, some folks, like many travel, they like to bring their travel trailer home, park in the front yard for a short period of time, maybe to load it, to get ready to go someplace. Possibly have someone come over and stay and have a motor home. May not be staying at, they may be staying in a house, but they need a place to park their mobile home and not have to go search for a storage lot for them. So those are the kind of things we just wanted to bring it to your attention. You could if you adopt it as written, then you could park them there. If you have a current tag, you meet the stipulation of this ordinance, you can park them anytime, in any number.
They didn't have a recommendation on how many, on the numbers and front and back?
They did not. It really was, the only thing that really was unanimous was that they wanted the commission to talk about it. They really thought they were all over the board with many as you would like to not having any. So really, I'm sorry they did kick the can to you.
Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with us discussing it and coming up with a decision. And I realize that the 60 feet was a little bit, cumbersome for some smaller lots, and that people do have recreational vehicles and in their for vacation and things like that, for camping. But we don't have a number right now.
We do not.
They could have had a dozen in their backyard.
Correct. You could have as many as you like. In other parts of our code, we started using a facade instead of trying to say a setback and a number. Say if you were talking about a front yard, it's easier to imagine that now, regardless of what size lot you have or what setback. We have the front facade of a home, which is if you chose to have language added to that, you could, if you wanted to keep them out of the front yard. But again, that's all just from the staff level. That's not coming from the planning and zoning board. So options are yours. Right now, the planning and zoning board said, they would like to see it removed and the commission to set some number of appropriate recreational vehicles on the lot.
They want to play ping pong.
Well, and I can't recap the whole meeting and discussion, but yeah, I mean, when you start putting them in the front yard, you worry about, does it take up the space for the required parking for your home? Typical home, and I'll say typical because most of your zoning districts have a 25-foot setback. You already require them to have a paved or concrete driveway, a minimum of 2 spaces per dwelling unit, and those are 10 by 20. So you've already, most people build to the setback, don't have that extra 5 feet. Notoriously, campers are 25, 28, 30, sometimes even longer. So we have had some complaints of RVs, the tongue of the camper or the trailer protruding into the sidewalk and folks having to walk around that. And it does lead to neighbor problems, and then colleagues at code enforcement get calls, and it doesn't make for great neighbors when one's complaining. And so we'd rather have an ordinance that tries to address all those things. I know I kind of put you on the spot tonight, but.
Well, and I don't like to be put on the spot because it's a decision that's going to impact us one way or the other. I mean, I can understand the 60 feet because it was, to me, a cumbersome, and I don't want to over-regulate things, but, that we can see 4 or 5 campers in somebody's front yard.
It has happened.
I think that it would be, it would be a concern to me by opening the gate open, so to speak. I think I can see where the P&Z board is. I appreciate the recommendation, but I think before we finalize or have a final reading, we need to have a little bit more information on here. And I don't know how this works. I know we were trying to decide a 10-foot setback or a facade setback. I don't know.
That's what the staff looked at. We looked at the code you have now for aesthetics, which is very little. You don't regulate a lot of aesthetics, but you do like your dumpsters, your enclosures on 27, and things where you want to shield certain things. So if you want to look at shield them, you do with your garbage cans. You don't want them discernible from the street. So those things you have kind of taken steps to where you're going after the look, the facade, the appearance. So that's what I just asked each commissioner to kind of imagine that. You live in residential neighborhoods.
I don't think
How
they should
many
have.
campers would be allowable?
I don't think they should have it just one. And if it's in the front, you put dates on it, a time frame. I wouldn't want to see in a nice neighborhood somebody parks a trailer in the front and leaves it there on the grass or the driveway. I mean, I can see it in the back. Again, there is storage. I think some people are trying to prevent from paying storage, and they park it in the backyard. But then what we find out, we run across people are living in these things in the backyards. We have caught several. So I don't know. To me, again, it goes back to people having boats and campers, and I understand, but there is storage. But I just think, to me personally, have a time frame on it, so it prevents people from living in them and find storage. That's my thoughts.
Well, I think the time frame is a good thing to look at, especially if there's. I mean, that's something to be considered as well. I just feel that we've tried to fix this ordinance on several occasions. We've discussed it. I just don't think we've fixed it yet. I think this
No.
can make it worse.
No, I think there needs to be a limit. That's what I wrote right here, is limit 1. And then a couple of other questions. I mean, you have in here, all commercial trailers shall be stored in a commercial or industrial district. What's the definition of a commercial trailer? Is it one of these covered trailers that contractors use and have their name on the side?
Typically, it's if you have your name on the side of it, that
Oh.
it's being used commercially. But you
That's
can get
not-
some private trailers that code enforcement had to wrestle with that look every bit commercial.
And that's going to have a lot of
I've had
impact
complaints in
here.
neighborhoods where the entire driveway is being taken up by 2 commercial trailers. They're just your white enclosed trailers. It's completely, and what happens typically, or in this case that I'm thinking about, and I won't mention the address or the names, but they park in their grass, which then destroys the grass, which you're trying to get those appearances up. You have a landscape ordinance, but unless the grass dies or is rutted up, there's really nothing we can do. So then if they take them out of there, if you would now allow them in the front and they move them to where they're parking their cars, and when they mow, if they don't maintain that, it's very easy to mow your grass and forget to, or even have the time to string trim around it, then you get campers and trailers that are permanently parked in the front yard. So back to the things, you limit some things in the front yard, the residential garbage cans. You don't allow utility equipment like water well pumps or AC units or even electrical meters on your front facade. You allow the cars, as you should, to come in and out, but storage, typically these type trailers are stored there. They're not in and out every day.
Well, and even a thought I had is they have to be parked on concrete or asphalt.
Right,
Which
currently they
means-
don't. So
Right, so another driveway is going to have to be installed. And then at some point, we can't see the pervious footprint of the lot. We shouldn't. So I think I agree with Commissioner Gardner. There's more to talk about. I think we got started on it. And we don't, there's no need to be in a rush. It's been like this for 30 or 40 years. So I don't want to change it and then have to go back next year and we should have done this or we should have done that. I think maybe a workshop with the P&Z might help.
I agree.
And then anyone else, of course, in the public value those opinions. But I think they recommended by lot size. There are some lots in Clewiston that you can't put it in the backyard, period, because the house is too close. You couldn't put an RV in the back. So I think there is more to look at and maybe even separate it into different residential districts. 1A can do this, B can do this. I don't know if
That's
that's
definitely a possibility. You do have some smaller lots and smaller
lots are going to be a problem.
So I'm hearing maybe possible table this until further notice.
I don't know how what we should be doing. I mean, I think it definitely needs more work. There's input from the city manager, from us, even from the P&Z board, and I agree a joint workshop would be the best thing to really hammer this out, because we've been looking at it for quite a while.
So, wow.
Well, I'll declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion.
Motion.
The city
So
attorney.
yeah, so you could have a couple options here. It sounds like maybe we want to do another workshop. We want to work on this a little bit more. You could table it to another designated date and time for hearing for consideration. Or you could vote it down.
Yes, sir, we can,
Repeat the
yes.
process.
Okay, we're going to table it. Yeah.
Do we need to do it to a date certain table? Yeah, we can table it to a date certain. Did you?
But Barbara already has a motion, right?
Table it.
They-
Okay, she already had a
Yeah,
motion.
Barbara had a motion already to table it, but if we need to add a date to that.
Yeah.
It's gonna
I
take
don't-
us a while with budget time right now.
That's what I would suggest, a minimum at least 2 meetings out. 'Cause
Yeah.
The agenda will start getting fuller and fuller, and you want time for a workshop and to coordinate the other boards.
I mean, we have until October 1st through September, we have the budget workshops.
Can we say, we can table it by a certain date? Can we do that?
I recommend a specific by the October meeting, for the October
We'll say the
meeting.
October meeting. Commissioner Edmonds, you want
I would say the first October meeting
Okay, let's see what the date is.
would be I
Third
guess, the
Monday.
21st? Or do we meet on the 14th?
I think it's the 21st.
21st is the third Monday.
Yeah.
21st. Okay, I have a motion by Edmonds to table until October 21st. Second by Thompson, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And before then, we'll have a workshop.
Yep.
Wait a second.
Mayor, our presenters are here.
Okay, great. Well, we will pause at item 4 and ask the presenters for the Glades Lake Area Teen Summit if they would come forth. Hello.
Hello. I apologize for being late. I was coming from West Palm.
Oh, no
So,
problem.
but anyway, my name is Tammy Bussey. And just give, pardon me? Okay. All right. So I'm Tammy Bussey, and I was recently asked to become a part of the organization that's doing the summit, the Glades Summit. We live in West Palm. And so we're just busy people, retired from the sheriff's office as commanders. That's my husband. He drives me everywhere as commanders. And then we now have our own business. And so I just always like to just give, respect to you all for what you all are doing to keep the community going and to the citizens who are here. But my reason for being here is there's going to be a Glades Team Summit. And it's being organized by the commissioners and the mayor and citizens and faith-based organizations out in the Glades. But what has happened is that we realized that between Pahokee, Belle Glades, South Bay, Clewiston, our teams are back and forth between these communities. And so we're looking to do something that will bring them all together or get the support of the community to bring them together. So that's why we're here, just looking for the support of the community. And we want to come out and address it with you all. And so what it is, it's the Glades Lakes Area Team Summit. It's going to be a 3-day event, August 2nd through the 4th. And during this event, they're going to just have mental health awareness, entrepreneurship, career building workshops, dynamic speakers are going to be there, different things for the children, for the teens. And this summit is for middle and high school students that we want to come out and from every community to assist, to learn, to be a part of the event. So that way we can reach them and just try to, as we all know, it's no secret, the violence is just really getting out of hand. It's all over the place, not even to mention the things that just happened a couple of days ago, but just every day you're hearing about the different violence and stuff. So we want to do what we can in this event to reach the teens and the middle school students. So it's a 3-day event, it has a team, like I said a minute ago. This is Captain Emery Payne of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, and he's like the leader of the summit organization. You see the names of the people who are also on the committee. It's like I said, it consists of mayors, city commissioners, youth leaders, PBSO officials, Department of Juvenile Justice, all of these that you see on the board. I know you all can read, so I won't read every single one of them to you, but it's just an organization, a group of very, very dynamic people who are looking to do what's best for the community with these children. Palm Beach State College, our school board officials, they're all assisting us with this as well. Our goals, we're having it where about 400 students could register for the event. Again, it's to stop the youth violence. We want to provide alternatives to show the the young people that there are other things that they can do other than go out hurting each other and getting themselves in trouble. So that's what we're doing. We want to make them aware of the legal system and different things that they need to know to make things better for them. And this summit will help us reach them in a group. It is to empower youth. Speakers will offer career pathways so the teams can create their own plan for the future. Again, we're going to have myself, entrepreneurs, because we have our own business now. And so we're going to be doing different things like that to share tools of success with the children, how they can become better citizens in the community and also become advocates for their community. The progress so far is we have students registering, but again, we're at a little over 100 now, and we can take up to 400. And so what we're looking to do is to just all of our communities, if we can get a contact person for the city of Clewiston to work with our group, then we'll do that. But it's just trying to get the support for every city, like I said, Pahokee, Belgrade, South Bay, Clewiston, because we're all right here together. We have already confirmed our presenters that will be doing workshops. We've secured a location, and so we have the planned itinerary already for those 3 days. And we're just looking to make it as successful as we can. The need is there are 700 plus economically disadvantaged middle and high school students. We're trying to reach as many as we can to help, make things better. 100 plus students, including student ACEs in the Project Lift. We're trying to get the leadership skills to these young people. We're going to have 50 community leaders and agencies ready to help. We have people reaching out saying, what can we do? How can we help? And so that's what we're looking for, just trying to get the support of as many people as we can. That's just an itinerary for day one. It's going to be held at the Dollyhan Cultural Arts Center starting at 5 p.m. So those are some things that's going to be going on. Check-in at 5, dinner and announcements at 6, and then going over to the hotel and checking in if necessary, 7:15 to 8. So that's day one. Day two, that's the thing that's going to be going on again. It's going to be held at Glade Central High School, starts at 8 o'clock. Guest speakers, again, this is the itinerary. I won't go through every single detail. You see it's up there. But it's for the students, and we're hoping that as many people will come out and support, again, help us get as many kids registered as possible. And then day three, the last day, is check-in at 9. And again, just an itinerary of what's going to be happening. Students will receive their completion gift and hours of certificate for completion at 12. And so in a nutshell, that's just the idea. That's the budget breakdown, but I won't go through that because that's a change as well. Hello. Okay, so to wrap it up, the impact is here. We're looking to provide tools for positive decisions. We want a higher rate of community involvement, so that's why we're here reaching out, so that way, we all can come together as communities. We want to do things that's going to increase our graduation rates with our children, letting them see that there's a better life than just being out there doing things that's not getting them anywhere. We want to expose them to community leaders that they can see, hey, there is, a better life. You can see people that they have students and friends, they can see the parents that are community leaders and get a chance to see what their future opportunities are. And so, as I stated, that's what we're here for. We're here to just say that Ms. Taylor's here with me, and like I said, Ms. Taylor, she's here, and we're here to just say the Team Summit is where we're looking for the communities to come together, and let's do whatever we can to reach our children, to say, hey, we're doing this is what we're offering, and then we're here for you when this is all over, to make life better for you. If that's what you are looking to do, we want to be here to help you do that. And so I want to have Ms. Taylor just kind of wrap up a little bit on what else we have going on. Ms. Taylor.
Okay, and we're here because we need our children from our communities, and some of you have access to some of those children, and we want you to register them. We have up today about 300 children registered. So far, we've only identified like 50 from Clewiston, from our Clewiston area. So we want more than that from our area, because it, like she said, it affects all our communities. Even though we're a Glades, we are part of it. So we are here asking you, if you know students in grades 6 through 12, please let them register and come to the summit. They were going to stay at the hotel over here, so you saw a big dollar amount on their budget for hotel, but we cut that out because the parents want the children to stay at home. So that is going to take out some of that. So we encouraging our Henry County students to really sign up and participate with us. It's going to be a great summit. It's going to be a great enhancement for our children. So that's why we're here today. And I know you all always support everything we do. So, and she didn't tell you, but she's a retired lieutenant from Palm Beach County.
Well, yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you, Ms.
Thank you. We wish y'all every success. We wish you every success. It's a worthy endeavor.
Yes, thank you for what you guys do, because I know it's not easy putting together a youth anything. And as far as a contact, our city manager, we have 2 brand new employees that would probably, either one of them would be more than happy.
I was looking at them.
So after the meeting, or if you need to go, you can go, but if you'd leave your card, so we'll get you a contact. Okay, and get a contact number.
And Miss Bussey, the hotel's not on anymore, but the transportation is. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you guys for coming, sharing that. Okay, well.
Bye-bye.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Drive safe. Okay, we'll move on to item number 4 on the agenda. It is another final reading. It's ordinance 2024-06, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Clewiston, Florida, amending Clewiston Code of Ordinance, Chapter 74, Utilities, Article 1, in general, creating Section 74-14, meter tampering, providing for inclusion in the Code of Ordinance, conflict, severability, and providing for an effective date.
So moved.
Declare the public hearing open. And any questions from the public? Any comments? Okay, anything from the commission? I think we've pretty well discussed this, and that's for the public's consumption. It's a pretty stiff penalty for tampering with a water or electric meter, and it's all in here. And there's
Yeah, it's 500 for the first offense, and then it will be 2,500 for the second. Or I'm sorry, 1,000. Excuse me, for residential. And for the commercial, it's 2,500 for the first round, and then it goes to 5,000 the second offense. And we do have smart meters, so when you pull it, we do see it immediately. So
if you tamper with it, even if you don't do anything, we'll know if you touch it.
yeah, our electricians are finding that out.
Okay, I'll declare the public hearing closed and then entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Thompson, second by Gardner. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 5 on the agenda. Another final reading. It's ordinance 2024-07, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Clewiston, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 3, Purchasing Procedures, Section 2-78, Purchasing Thresholds, providing for inclusion, Code of Ordinance, conflict, severability, and an effective date. I'll declare the public hearing open. As you guys know, we raised the limit of authorizing the city manager to purchase. Any comments from the public? Seeing none. Any from the commission?
I feel like we should approve this, but I also, if there is a large purchase, that the commission should be aware.
You'll be made aware of it, of course.
I'm sure. I just wanted to state that.
Yes. Okay,
Well,
we'll declare the
in
public.
today's pricing, transformers are triple.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the basics that were 2,500 or almost 10 grand. I mean, it's going crazy. I mean, right now, I think, Lynn, what was the last purchase? It was over 100,000 for, I think it was. Yeah, it was an enormous amount of money. And we do have emergency repairs, so and that's one of the things that's going to help us with.
Would this include capital, issues, like vehicles, or is it just for?
No, that'll be approved stuff still. Not for capital. This is repairs, emergency repairs, day-to-day repairs.
I mean, the ordinance says the commission's approval shall be required for award of all contracts, material, equipment, works, or services in excess of $25,000 for non-budgeted items. So it has to come back to us.
Any further discussion? We declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Gardner, second by Thompson. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have a few first reading ordinances to go through. This is item number 6 on the agenda, ordinance number 2024-08. This is by title, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Clewiston, Florida, providing for the annexation of an additional territory owned by Henry County School Board to be included within the city boundaries in accordance with Article 8, Section 2C of the Constitution of the State of Florida and Section 171.044 Florida statutes as amended, providing for an effective date and for other purposes.
Mayor, items number 6 through 11 on our agenda are all applications. So I'd like to swear in the applicants at this time. Or
Okay.
anyone. So if anyone is present this evening and plans to give any testimony regarding any of the applications on tonight's agenda, items 6 through 11, I need to swear you in at this time. If you could please stand, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury in the laws of the state of Florida to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Very good. Commissioners, I'd also ask if any of you have had any ex parte communications or have conducted any site visits in conjunction with the application for the annexation to disclose that at this time.
I have not.
Very good.
No. Okay, we read that by title. We'll declare the first reading public hearing open. If anyone would like to speak on item 6, which is the annexation of the school board property. Seeing none, any questions by the commission?
What's the economic impact to the city, if any? If so, what?
I wasn't sure you were coming.
Travis Reed's Community Development. Financial impact to the city, not at this time, other than the cost of the applications and the advertising, which are borne solely by the applicant. So none at this time.
We I was gonna ask that question, but more in the future, and we can lump all these together as far as discussing the economic impact. I know U.S. Sugar probably has plans for their annexation, but in the long haul, obviously it'll be more tax dollars for the city of Clewiston. Do we plan on providing electric, water, and sewer to these annexations?
Yes, we do.
My question is going to be the same to each one of these coming up. You know, we want this to be a positive impact to the city and the citizens that live here now, not a drain on the city. So I want to make sure it don't have a negative impact on the city, and if it's going to be developed, who's going to be responsible for these structure changes, sewer, water, you name it. And as you know, better than most, we have an assessment now for fire. How will that impact? Because right now we'll be paying nothing. Correct.
Well, there is some of that in this annexation that is currently paying as vacant land. There are some exceptions for agricultural land. So you have 3 applicants. So when they go into the city, if they are successful in going to the city, those assessments will change, but they pretty much mirror each other, because the fire assessment for East County MSBU is very similar to the fire assessment inside the city.
Ag pays nothing, right?
Ag pays very little or nothing. I'd have to refer to our chart to see. But as it gets developed and as we rezone it, then yes, it would be paying some fees. So to answer your question, it's going to develop. I believe that the applicant plans on redeveloping the property. At least 2 of the 3 applicants have voiced that they're ready to develop. So it's going to develop regardless whether it's in the city or not. The city has historically wanted to provide services to folks, electric, water, sewer. So some of those would be provided to these. So it would be an incentive for the city to have it annexed, especially if you're going to be providing those services.
Do we have the ability to support this new expansion, the capacity
Yeah,
right now?
As far as
Because
utilities,
Yeah.
yes. Yes, we're good.
and each development that goes forward through our concurrency reservation in the city, we do have to look at those and look at the demand on that system, on our water plant, and our domestic water plant, our solid waste, all those elements we do have to look at.
We did look at those numbers. That's been looked at.
I would suspect that you've already did this, but I wanted to make sure moving forward that there is no question if this is developed soon, that we have the capability of supporting it as needed, and that those costs wouldn't be put on the city, it'd be put onto the developer.
That's also been discussed with Michael and I have talked in the past. He's fully aware of all that.
And you currently have impact fees exactly for that reason, for water and sewer specifically. So each development will be assessed what your study already says that what their impact would be. So the citizens of Clewiston don't pay for an expansion that they did not need. And I think we already talked, they're going to be very similar. We got to go through each one of them, but there are 3 applicants: the school board, Kelly Tractor, U.S. Sugar. The only difference you'll see is as you get further in the agenda, you'll see that U.S. Sugar has already prepared a master plan, and they're prepared to have that master plan tonight and go for a comprehensive plan addition to add an employment hub, and they're asking for rezone to move quickly. So it might be a little bit out of the ordinary to have all those at one time, but we felt go ahead and get the first reading of all those immediately so we can move forward. So it's not a hindrance to the applicant as they move forward.
It is a lot of changes at one time.
It's a lot, but it has been reviewed by your staff, our consultants, and worked tirelessly with the city manager and their staff on coming up with this agreement.
I just wanted to note for the record that since the original master plan of Clewiston, which was done in the 20s, this is the first expansion of our city limits and our boundaries in all the years. And so I think it's a very exciting time for the city, and I think it's wonderful that we are expanding our city limits and incorporating more land into our tax base.
Thank you for mentioning that. That's 1925 plat the commissioner's talking about. So we didn't wait 100 years.
99, right?
99.
Just
And with that, if you have no questions of me, I'd
one
like
other,
to.
yeah, one other question, but on the existing, this is not the annexation, but on these projects north of the highway and then this south of the highway, which has already been approved by the city.
Right. Both of those
The
are
water,
PUD.
sewer, and electric has been calculated into those projects as well.
They have.
Okay.
Yes, the residential unit and the commercial areas have been calculated in. So without any other questions, I don't hear any more. I would like to turn it over to the applicant. We have some nice slideshow or some drawings for you to get your bearings exactly what we're talking about if there are any doubts.
Is this first applicant the Henry County School Board? I don't see anybody here from the school board, so I wasn't sure.
And they not at P&Z either,
Okay.
but they are all. If we want to move through these, we can get. And actually, we could have Mike Rosen is here, and he has worked with each one of these applicants as well. Can't speak for them, but if you look in your packet, you'll see where the school board did approve to move forward with it in 2022, and so they're excited as well. And just for point of clarification, maybe answer some of your questions. The U.S. Sugar application has the comprehensive plan in it and the element change, so they're going for rezone. The 2 other parcels, Kelly Tractor and the school board, they will keep the underlying zoning and future land use designations of Hendry County until we decide to change those or the applicant comes to us. So just to clarify that, we're going forward a little more with them, but you can still develop the other property, but it would be with the restrictions and requirements of the underlying zoning that it currently has until the city changes that.
So they're excited, just not enough to show up.
All right. Thank you. All right.
And if it's all right with the commission, Mr. Rosen can go, if you want to speak on all three properties,
I
that
can.
way, and then we'll jump to the reading of those ordinances.
Right. And, you know, for your knowledge, I've been in contact with Mike Swindle, chair of the school board, and the Kelly Tractor Brothers. They're well aware of what's happening tonight and the future meetings, and they want to be part of the city. That's why they've asked to be annexed in. They do realize that there are tax ramifications that they'll be paying in the future being part of the city, and they're well aware of that. We understand, as I represent U.S. Sugar, that as development works in that direction, we'll be using city utilities, paying those fees, paying impact fees, paying whatever use fees there are. Everybody's well aware of that. So the school board and Kelly Tractor are very aware of tonight's meeting, and they know I'm here representing them. So theirs is very simple. It's annexation only with no zoning. The U.S. Sugar property, though, we are asking, as Travis said, for some zoning as the agenda goes on. If I can answer any questions, I'd be more than happy to.
Questions? None by the commission. We'll declare public hearing closed on item 6 and entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-08 on first reading and to set the public hearing for August 19th, 2024. Do you want me to read that by the title, the ordinance number 2024-08, or did we already read it?
No, I read
Okay.
it.
Second.
Okay, motion by Gardner, second by Thompson. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 7 is the first reading of ordinance 2024-09, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Clewiston, Florida, providing for the annexation of additional territory owned by Kelly Tractor Company to be included within the city boundaries in accordance with Article 8, Section 2C of the Constitution of the State of Florida and Section 171.044 Florida statutes as amended, providing for effective date and for other purposes. To declare the public hearing open. JD, there's a map under Section 10. I mean, just for the public to look at it. If it's in there, it might help. Just
Is that the map?
I think Travis has these,
Oh,
and this is it.
yeah, there's one right there.
If we could maybe put that one up against here so people in the
Maybe
public could see
Tim
it.
could hold it over there, prop it up or something.
Oh, not for us, but for the public. Yeah.
That way you can identify the three properties. The two properties that we just read are fairly small compared to the U.S. Sugar piece.
10 and 12 acres.
And Mayor, I'll be a broken record on some of these applications, but once again, I'll ask for any ex parte communications you may have had with the applicant regarding this application, if any members of the board have had any communications. Okay.
Okay, any comments by the public? Any more comments by the commission? Questions? We'll declare the public hearing closed on ordinance 2024-09 and entertain a motion.
I move we approve ordinance 2024-09.
Second.
By Thompson, second by Gardner. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8 is ordinance 2024-10, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Clewiston, Florida, providing for the annexation of additional territory owned by United States Sugar Corporation to be included within the city boundaries in accordance with Article 8, Section 2C of the Constitution of the State of Florida and Section 171.044 Florida statutes as amended, providing for an effective date and for other purposes. We'll declare the public hearing open for the first reading on ordinance 24-10. Any comments by the public? Any questions or comments by the commission?
Any disclosures from the commission?
I think I spoke to Mr. Rosen years ago, maybe on the north and the south, and at that time, I don't know if he mentioned anything about annexation, but just in case, I'll mention that I did speak with Mr. Rosen about the north and south developments in town, and if there was any discussion about annexation, I don't remember any details, but I don't think so, but just in case.
Done. Okay, I'll declare the public hearing closed, seeing no comments, and entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Gardner,
Second.
second by Edmonds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 9 on the agenda is ordinance number 2024-11. An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Clewiston, Florida, adopting an amendment to its comprehensive development plan in accordance with mandates set forth in section 163.3184 Florida statutes pursuant to a privately initiated application which provides for an amendment to the city future land use map, creating the employment hub district and redesignating 5 parcels of real property comprising approximately 477 plus or minus acres, more or less in size, currently designated Henry County multi-use as employment hub district. Such parcels of land are located north of US 27 and directly west of the prior existing city boundary, further providing for the transmittal to the State Land Planning Agency, providing for conflicts, cause, severability, effective date, and other purposes. So we had to annex it first, and now US Sugar is, for their parcel, is asking for a land use change. Any comments by the public? Any comments by the commission?
I'd like to clarify something, Travis. In the actual packet itself, 9 and 10, there's conflicting maps.
Yes, I'm sure if any commissioner picked that up, that would have been you.
I just want to make sure it was
When they printed, they printed
this.
them
So
properly.
this is not supposed to be
That is not
included,
supposed to be
and
there.
this one, and on the number 10, right?
If you look in the actual the exhibit B will actually be.
There could have been a better job done on the mapping in general.
Well, this map, you're talking about this map, which is all in the orange, outlined in the orange, which is
There you
pretty
go.
clear. That's
Yep, that's what
the,
should have
this is
attached
the
there.
property that we're talking about.
Correct. And
Okay.
that's
I just
what
wanted to
will be-
clarify
On
that.
your final reading, you will see that map attached as exhibit B. I think how it printed just came out that way.
The designation as an employment hub district, that verbiage is new to me. What's the significance of that?
Well, I will leave that to the author of that.
Good evening, Neil Montgomery for the record. The properties, you heard earlier that for the 2 parcels, they're gonna stay with county zoning and future land use. And that's because the Florida statute says when you annex into a city, you come in with the county or incorporated areas zoning and land use. Obviously, since we're gonna be in the city, using city services, paying the city taxes, and hopefully impact fees to stay in the city, we want to have a city zoning category. So it's mixed use commercial, future land use category now. In the county, we don't have that category. So employment hub mirrors those same kinds of uses, and it would be a city category. So there's the tax amendment to adopt the category and a map amendment to put it on this property.
Will we have to adopt an ordinance, Travis, for a new district?
And why?
Adding this to our comprehensive plan, so it'll be a new category. So then you will have eventually another ordinance that lays out what you can and can't do within that. And we're gonna work with the property owner before they sell the property and market it, exactly what's gonna be in there.
So we approve this now and discuss it later.
But we would approve yes, and it's not unusual to do that with the comprehensive plan and to put general guidelines in place. What do you want to see there? And we rezone it, and we have done that on 27 corridor. We actually had one that actually moved into it before the ordinance was actually completed.
What's the significance of employment hub district? outside of what we have now? Why that change?
Well, it's basically another commercial. The ones we have now, or excuse me, another industrial. So this is brings in some retail, brings in the ability for office space. It brings in several things specifically in the employment hub.
Outside of what we have now?
Correct. This is with this future. Well, I'd have to look and see exactly what you have in your industrial now.
Manufacturing was one of the things that I saw in
Right.
here.
This is the a whole new district that we're going to be rezoning into. So your comprehensive plan, you have certain land use categories. This is going to be a new land use category that we can select from. So even though it's specifically just for this property now, but we'd be able to use it in others if other PUDs wanted to use it, other portions of land. Let's say if the Kelly tractor wanted to rezone, that work would already be done. It would be something they wouldn't have to pay for an additional study or pay for the additional staff time to come up with what they wanted to use there.
What does this allow that our existing ordinance don't?
I'll have that back over to you.
This
Yeah,
ain't by
for the
accident. This is
record.
for
Yeah, you have categories that are like predominantly industrial or predominantly commercial, retail, or office. So what this does is allows that mix, because you're going to have a significant amount of industrial. You don't want to have to drive outside of the corridor to go to the pharmacy, to, go to Culver's or whatever. You want to be able to have all those. And a lot of times, the industrial users, like to be near an office complex so that they can bring people in. Mr. Rosen lives in an area where we've seen that really take off in terms of Arthrex. They have the industrial part, but they have an office part, they have a hotel part, and that has continued to expand. So if you get a business that starts up, you don't want it to have to move outside of that category so they can meet all the needs in one place.
So it kind of mirrors a PUD residential.
Well, that's the zoning district, and you're right, we're going to have a PUD that does that, but we need a land use category that does that. And we don't want to have it's not a residential category, it's an employment hub, and I believe LaBelle has something very similar to this on the South LaBelle Village property.
And I like when I was reading this, Ms. Montgomery, it was to me, it was employment generating uses, including manufacturing, warehousing, and distribution, and other industrial uses, as well as commercial, retail, and office spaces. So to me, that's what I was thinking. It was a PUD, but without naming it a PUD, that would be later. But there would be a mixed use out there, and Arthrex just landed quite a few jobs out there in that plaza.
From a practical standpoint of view, you're exactly right. When we're talking to potential users, and hopefully the airport will come about sometime soon, a lot of those users want to have their industrial and commercial facilities in a park like this, but they also want to have a restaurant. They also want to have an office building. They also want to have other retail and commercial facilities that support the industrial uses within that park, instead of having to go out to go somewhere. So this is and there's no residential involved in this. This is strictly commercial, retail, and industrial, and that's why it was designed to support future businesses that will be coming into this area. Also, going back one step in talking about the uses and the utilities that will serve this area, it's not all going to be done at one time. All 340 acres. This will be done in phases, obviously. So from a use standpoint of view, we won't be coming to the city and saying we need bathrooms for 340 acres for 4,000 or 4 million square feet. That won't happen. Probably when you're taking a look at the map, coming right off of US 27 will be the first uses that some of the commercial uses would want. Possibly restaurant, maybe a Home Depot, maybe a Lowe's. Then behind it, as you go towards the railroad tracks, there'll be some heavier industrial uses, by the railroad tracks there. And that's what this is. It's a comprehensive plan. So this parcel can be used by various uses and support itself within the uses. I hope I've articulated that right.
But it makes it less binding on the developer moving forward trying to develop this property.
Well, it gives you, as we called the employment hub, it's different types of employment, within this. Again, retail, commercial, industrial, could be restaurants, could be dry cleaners, could be uniform supply places for the people in that industrial area. Yes. I hope that makes sense.
Okay.
Before vote, if there is one, I want to call for disclosures again.
I haven't discussed a comprehensive plan change.
Say it again.
If you just disclose any conversations or communications you had with the applicant for this item. Okay.
You give the commission that this is the actual master plan for Joey, they will be in the comprehensive plan. As we move forward, this is what it would look like. You're familiar with the PUDs that have the master plan. This is what it looks like.
You could just turn it that way so the audience can see it. Yeah.
Is it up for a moment? So we're going to follow along with what we're talking about. Mr. Compton, and we'll answer your question. You have the Commerce Park Industrial District, which is probably what you're used to and dealing with. All those uses that they enumerated there would not be allowed out there. Retail out there is only if you're manufacturing something, and what you're manufacturing is you have a very small area that you can use retail. So it's different. That would not fit for this, what they envisioned.
I was just gonna, John Bonney, J.R. Evans, just gonna add that it's not a change from what it is now in Hendry County. So it's a name change as you pull it into the city, but the uses aren't changing. Like what you can do there is the same as it would be in Hendry County. So you're not generating anything different than would be as it is currently. I don't know if that answers your question, what you were getting at.
Okay.
So change from the city or the county?
From the county.
So
that
it's a change from what the city.
It's a change for the city, and that you don't have a name for that category, so we're creating the name for it.
That's a very good point. Thank you. I should have mentioned that. The development densities are the same, whether they're in the city or without. They stayed with their county zone.
Okay, any further discussion? I'll declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2024-11 on first reading and set public hearing for August 19th, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Gardner, second by Thompson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 10 on the agenda is ordinance 2024-12. An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Clewiston, Florida, providing for the rezoning of certain real property within the corporate limits of the City of Clewiston, which property consists of 5 parcels of land lying in Section 7 and 8, Township 43, Range 34, East Hendry County, and more particularly described in Exhibit A to this ordinance, providing that these parcels of real property shall be assigned to the city zoning designation of PUD, Plan Unit Development District, Clewiston 440, providing that the zoning map of the city of Clewiston be amended to reflect the proper designation for these parcels, providing that a master concept plan for the project is hereby approved in accordance with Section 110-457 of the City of Clewiston Zoning Code, providing for conflict, severability, effective date, and other purposes. It's the first reading of this ordinance, and we'll declare the public hearing open. Any questions or comments by the public? Any from the commission?
Any disclosures from the commission?
No.
Thank you.
Okay, hearing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-12 for the rise for the rezoning of certain real property.
Second.
Motion by Gardner, second by Thompson. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11 is a first reading of ordinance 2024-13, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Clewiston, Florida, abandoning and vacating its interest in a portion of the Okeechobee Avenue right-of-way located north of Block 24 of the General Plan of Clewiston, Florida, as revised, subject to utility and access easements to be maintained along the entire length of the existing easement, providing for recording and effective date and other purposes. declare this first reading public hearing open. As you guys saw the map, it's
The P and Z met on July the 9th, and they recommended approval of the easement abandonment by a vote of 5 yes.
Any disclosure, any contact had discussions regarding the application? Very good. I don't know if we have an applicant who's present who wants to speak on this item at all. Seeing none.
Yeah, and when I looked at the map, it looks to me like, because the original John Nolan plan, that this area was for something else. I think it was supposed to be a hotel area and boat basin or something. But all the other properties on the east and the west of it, this brings it into alignment with those other properties, whereas right now it's not.
It does. This is block 24. Probably go to the map here.
While Travis is looking, one of the things to note too, this will not affect the utilities at all.
A little bright. But that was the actual hotel site on the plat, block 24. It was the hotel and marina. So the lake was actually intended to be right along here with that block extending out a little bit.
That
So
lake was there.
It
was there. That's the lake shore.
It shows it in 1925 on the plat, which is very.
The ridge is the lake.
That's what I've been told.
The ridge.
Yeah. So when we ended up there, obviously the hotel was. It may have been there at one time, but it's not there now. It's now all residential. So that area to the north, actually to the north and the south, was shrunk a little bit. We assumed for additional public parking because that was intended to be a marina site. There was actual little docks that were planned to be built to go out that way. So that's why what Commissioner Gardner's talking about all along that Del Monte and Okeechobee, back of Del Monte, and I guess that would be the south side of Okeechobee Boulevard. Those lots line up with a 60-foot road right of way. And then it extends to more than 80 feet once it reaches block 24 to accommodate that extra public area. But we see no need, the staff sees no need to retain that other than utilities for possible easements if they have any utilities in there. So
Well,
we would then line up with the east and west lines of the rear of lots on Del Monte. So if you extended those rear property lines across lot 24, then they would then line up.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I'm hardly ever for giving up land, but in this case, that was designated for another use that's not going to happen. So, any further discussion, questions? Okay, we'll declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion.
Moved.
Motion by Gardner,
Second.
second by Edmonds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, a few resolutions on the books. The first one is Resolution 2024-040, a resolution of the City of Clewiston, Florida, approving the agreement between City of Clewiston, Florida, and United States Sugar Corporation for the joint funding of the Clewiston Golf Course irrigation improvements and authorizing the mayor to sign. Once again, we thank U.S. Sugar for their generous help on that project.
Absolutely.
We entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Gardner. Second by Edmonds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh, just for the record, we kind of did this backwards. We should have had this before the work was done.
Well, for the public, yes, the work is complete.
Yeah, now we can give a report on it, right?
In the future, we'll do it the correct way.
That's true.
Item 13 on the agenda is Resolution 2024-044, a resolution of the City of Clewiston, the City Commission of the City of Clewiston, Florida, approving work order number 2020-028 and the continuing agreement for professional services between the City of Clewiston and Johnson Engineering, Inc. for the design, permitting, building, and construction administration services for the Delta Tobias Water Main Improvement Project. This is a grant-funded project,
It's fully funded, Mayor. Yes.
but yes, 100% funded.
I move we approve resolution 2024-044.
Second.
Motion by Thompson, second by Gardner. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 14 on the agenda is Resolution 2024-045, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Clewiston, Florida, adopting a schedule of revised development and construction permit fees for services provided and regularly charged as specified by the city code, providing for an effective date. I'm going to get the community development. If anyone has any questions for Travis?
I don't, I mean, it just, you know, the fees right now are from 2015, and so we're bringing them up to 2024. Correct? Making the first changes?
That is correct. The International Building Code and the Construction Journal for building construction costs, they take into consideration each state and each section of the state, and we can adjust these every 6 months. We haven't done since 2015. So your typical, if you look on the chart and go to residential on the second page, most people are familiar with a single family home. So they're based on the R3 residential 1 and 2 family, which is about the fifth one from the bottom. You go to column all the way over, you will see the last column. That's a typical construction type in Clewiston, or most anywhere in the state. In 2015, the cost per square foot was $112.65. That was the average cost in this general area, I mean, in the Southwest Florida area. Today's those costs are $165.67. So this brings you in line. So this is what we actually use to calculate the actual value, not the actual cost that you spend, but the actual value of the building by the construction type and the square footage based upon the industry standards. So we can't adopt them every 6 months. Typically, probably 5 years is fine. You see the change is not that great, but this is going on 9 years now, so it's time to change.
Is this all or nothing, or can
We do
amend
have
this?
to follow. We can go back in different years and choose differently, but we must use their. If we're going to use a chart like this, which 90% of the cities do, or the counties do, building departments do, we can't just arbitrarily pick a cost. You would just have to pick a date certain. So you could go back and go to 16. You could go to 18. You could pick anything you would like. But we just always recommend it. It takes so long to change these that we just make a move to what they're currently being charged by the contractor.
Yeah, for the public's knowledge, this isn't what your contractor is going to charge you. This is the cost based on the permit fee.
Correct.
Not what you're going to actually pay for the.
Good point. It is not anything to do with between the client and the contractor. The International Building Code collects data from all building departments nationwide, and they come up with average construction cost, and they publish that in the Construction Journal every 6 months. And that, by state statute through the Florida Building Code, is if you choose to use this chart, what you must use. You can also calculate it different ways. There are ways to take the actual cost of your building department divided by the amount of permits, the total cost it costs you to all building department expenses, and divide that. And that cannot be, you would really have to do that annually to count, and the fees would be changing. This is a much more uniform way of doing it. Like I say, at least 90% all use this chart.
So it is all or nothing.
As far as using the chart, yes, we're currently using the chart. We should use the chart. I just don't want to mislead you. We recommend you go to the current, but you could choose you could choose to stay with what year you're in 2015, or choose any other year. We just wouldn't recommend that.
And the only other thing, as far as land use and zoning, the actual cost, those are also being updated, and a new category has been put in.
That is correct. So we base those on actual cost. The staff has minimal cost incurred in those. We use a consultant to do those. So those fees just reflect what we're currently paying. So now that the say the PUD, a small, less than 10 acres is $1,500. That's all we charge. The actual cost we're paying is $2,500. So every time, the taxpayer is subsidizing that. So we really need to get those fees in line with what you are actually paying. And the new category was vacation of easement. We have, it's my career where we've always used the same fee as variance because the variance is something unusual on your property. We charge a lesser fee for that. That's no fault of your own. And we've always charged a lesser fee for easement abandonment because it's actually your property. So if we're abandoning the easement, we've always charged that lesser amount. So we just wanted to make that new category to make it crystal clear. We could point to it and say, this is why we charge that lesser amount. It's your property. If we're not using it, no other utility is using it, and you want to abandon it, we don't feel that it should be the lowest amount possible to vacate that.
Okay, any more questions? Entertain a motion for 2024-045.
I make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Edmonds, second by Gardner. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number, item 15 is resolution number 2024-046. This is a resolution of the City of Clewiston, Florida, appointing Danny Williams as city manager, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the city manager services between the City of Clewiston and Danny Williams, setting an effective date and for other purposes. The last meeting, Commissioner Gardner brought this up, and we gave everybody a month to speak with Danny and mull it over. And any further discussion? I think we're all pretty much in agreement.
I move we accept.
For the commissioner's knowledge, I put together an agreement. I provided it to Danny for him to review. This is based off of the prior manager's agreement, aside from a few formatting changes. One item I wanted to gauge your opinion on, there was an item of discussion during the last during the last manager's tenure. There's a provision in there that states that you will perform a annual review. I think that was a discussion topic amongst the commission. Maybe it didn't happen a couple years in a row. So I wanted to gauge your opinion on whether, do you want to change that to a May, or is the required annual performance review something we want to continue and have a part of that agreement? I just wanted to gauge your.
Just speaking for myself, I think it's normal language in 99% of contracts with city managers, and I think it's needed to hold them accountable and to benchmark where they're at and where they're going and moving forward. That's my opinion.
I actually agree with that. We need that for sure.
It's in there already.
It
so,
is. That
okay,
is as it is
okay,
written.
all right.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to
Second.
accept. Second by Gardner. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I would just encourage Danny to, as soon as possible, reach out and start his ICMA certification. I think it'd be helpful for him and the city as a whole. And he's already, I think, started that process, but sooner the better.
All right, good. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Danny.
Honeymoon's over.
Honeymoon is over. And it's been over.
All right. Next, our attorney.
I think I'm up again.
Yeah, you're up again on the short-term rental discussion.
So the commission at prior meeting requested some information regarding short-term rentals. I took the liberty of putting together a very brief memo on some of the history of the regulation of this type of use. Right now, it doesn't appear that we really have anything in our current code of ordinances regarding these. There was a recent change this year with regard to the rentals that allow specifically authorize local governments to create registration programs and perform inspections of these uses. Again, I also provided a couple examples of some typical short-term vacation rental ordinance provisions from other jurisdictions. They are mostly pretty uniform inspection programs, minimum safety requirements, parking requirements, things of that nature. So again, this is sort of just a presentation of information open to discussion. I don't know if the commission is desirous of doing something with those uses, but if you wanted to direct staff to bring you back something or pursue something for those uses, happy to do so.
I don't even know how many we have in town. I don't know if anybody does. I just had some of the folks in neighborhoods, when they hear things, like Airbnb, they're concerned that there's going to be a party next door, and somebody, an absentee landlord. So I don't know if we've had any of those issues at all. Nobody has given me an address and said, this is what's been happening here. But I think it's something we need to discuss. I mean, it seems like every community across this, state for sure has short-term rentals, and you hear horror stories, but then I haven't heard them here, and I don't know if the police department has been dispatched to any issues or not. But I think it's something that you brought, I am getting questions on it. I don't know if anybody else has. They didn't want a party house next door to them.
My thought is there, like you said, is there a need? We don't know if there's a need. We don't even know how many we have. And every time session is in, they take a strike at this and trying to take it out of the city's hands. So do we want to be preemptive and put something in place, or take a wait and see?
I mean, really and truly, they're going to abide by our laws. I mean, curfews, whatever, noise violations. So I don't see it being a problem. It's just like a rental. I mean, I know, I think it's a lot of fishermen. We do have Airbnbs. I mean, if you go and Google, you'll see a few of them in our community.
In my experience, Airbnb are better managed than year leases.
Well, people coming in, I mean, they want a nice place.
But on yearly leases, you have a rental inspection, and that that we're safeguarding, everybody, I guess, involved in a rental of a residential property, not knowing what there is out there, or if there's any issues, and doesn't seem to be any issues, and we don't even know really how often these places are rented or what's going on. But I did find it interesting is that our hotels have to pay the tourism development tax. These short-term rentals that fall under that. Is there anything is that going to be enough to generate any heads and beds tax in the city? I don't know. I do know that when I have looked at it, I know that outside the city limits, there's quite a few in certain unincorporated areas of the county. That seemed to me something that stood out, which we have nothing we're not regulating that. And I don't think the county has one. So I think it's something that we should probably discuss at a workshop. I don't want it to be, government intrusion, but we do have a rental program that, is because of utilities that we do check. I mean, I would think that the same standards should apply. If it's a business and the business tax, an application for business, I don't know.
I haven't heard of any issues with
occupational license, I don't know.
But this is becoming more and more popular. And I know a lot of people, not in Clewiston that I'm aware of, they'll turn their garage into an Airbnb or a travel trailer. And as this grows, it may promote the need or people, hooking up the utilities in the backyard with a travel trailer and turning it into an Airbnb. And then you went from a single family to whatever.
I think the registration is a good idea. I know there's some VRBOs in LaBelle within the city limits. I don't know how they're regulated or if they even are. But I think if they're just registered, because it is a business. Are those owners required to have a
occupational
license or?
So they're required to register with the Department of Business Regulation and pay an applicable state tax. As of right now, I don't know if any of these would meet the criteria for paying a local government. I think that what you currently have on the books says that definition might be a little loose. I think it's 4 or more units before a hotel or lodging establishment is then subject to a BTR.
I think it is something to workshop and maybe look at LaBelle and some of these other smaller communities. I mean, they're everywhere.
In Okeechobee, I know that they've got houseboat rentals up there, for Airbnb. So those are something that, I don't know what they look like. I haven't seen what they.
Southwest
Look at
Florida League of
those.
Cities is really on top of this issue. And I'm going to a meeting at the end of this month. I'll try to bring back something
I'm going.
that they're using.
I'll be there. Yeah, they're here.
There's 8 of them
Yeah.
within the city limits of Clewiston.
You'd be
Okay.
really
Yeah.
surprised
Wow.
what people rent out.
Okay.
And I'm
So it
not
could be-
saying charge them an arm and a leg. I
No.
would like to know which houses they are. Just
Well, I mean, the occupational license. I mean, $150 a year. Business. 50. Okay. See. So.
we can look at the bed, the bed tax at a workshop or something and see what other people are doing.
Even
Definitely
if
a
we're not going to
workshop.
tax it, we need to know what's going on in our city, and you have to have some way to track it and know what's going on. And I think it's our responsibility to do that. What we decide that is,
We'll look at
We'll
the
figure it out.
addresses.
Our ordinance doesn't cover it right now anyway, so
Got
we
nothing
can't
right
we
now.
can't do anything. But a workshop
right now,
would be
so.
good. I think a workshop would be really good. But I think that y'all need to be aware of them as far as staff, especially the police department. If there's any issues that they've been called to homes, and maybe those are rental properties, that short-term rentals, and we're not aware of it. I don't know.
If you're considering looking at the BTR rate schedule, it might be an opportunity to look at the schedule as a whole. I don't know the last time it was revised. But I know there have been cases in recent history of people challenging BTR taxes as being excessive and have been successful. Something if it hasn't been looked at in a while, I don't know when the last date was.
Well, it's $50 a year. You're saying,
Well,
Travis?
just the
Yeah.
entire rate schedule. as a
Right.
whole.
So that might be something. I mean, that's been like that for.
It probably has been a while.
We
since
want
it's
people to be in business too.
25?
right.
Okay.
Okay, so it sounds like we need to have another workshop on
Yeah.
that item. Yes, sir.
Bob Dykstra with Sportif Resorts. I've been coming down here for 3 years and, originally for the airport, and really got attracted to what the glamping and the sports industry can be here. And we are very interested in developing glamping and short-term rentals, even with boats. I can tell you, I come from Michigan, and we have a lot of Airbnbs on Lake Michigan, and everybody's getting sued now because there has not been good regulation. I'm not in favor of more regulation, but the lack of it really will hurt long-term. And, if we do a project that might have 100 units, we're going to have to bring in some fairly sophisticated financing. And if there isn't a real ordinance, whether it's Airbnb or we use it as hotel motel tax, the lack of one hurts the ability to bring more industry here. So I think you should take a real good look at that. That like on Lake Michigan, people would buy $1 million homes, $5 million homes, and use them as short-term rentals, and the people next door don't like it. So there have been whole communities that are involved in lawsuits now. And this is, probably 5 years ago they passed most of the Airbnb ordinances, and they're really trying to change a lot of them. So I think you ought to try to get ahead of the curve as much as you can. And I think you've got a super industry here. We did a feasibility study for all of Florida and quite a few locations around the United States. And right here in the Clewiston area, it came back as #1. access to the water, hunting, fishing. 2 hours from Miami, Orlando. People want to be able to drive rather than to fly to these resorts. And I think you got something really unique here with the natural amenities. We're pretty excited about it. Very happy you chose Danny. I've been coming down here for 3 years, and I've gotten more response in the last 2 months than I did for the previous 3 years.
So have we.
I think you made a good choice.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Bob.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Sir.
Okay, anything else, City Attorney? Okay, any questions on the old business items? Monthly,
If I may, Mayor, I wanted to make one comment. This is an update on the Clewiston Commons litigation case. The trial counsel has informed me that they have reached a potential settlement agreement, which would resolve the case. It has the formal agreement has not been signed yet, but it was a very, I'd say it was a low level amount for the settlement. I think it was $25K.
Favorable.
Very favorable. Again, has not been formally signed yet. If they move forward with that, the case will be resolved.
oh, good. That's the
When you say
praise report.
favorable, are they paying us?
The money would come, no, it would be a settlement from the city's insurance carrier to, and they have the authority to
Without
take
our
that
decision.
option without their consent.
Okay. Well, I just know that we've expended a lot of time, staff time on this issue, and overall, the city taxpayers have been having to fund the department, so to speak, and I'm glad that it sounds like there's going to be a resolving to maybe the litigation issue, but Dylan, I have to be honest with you, the place looks blighted, and I don't know from a code enforcement at this point, but it has not improved in any way, shape, or form, and it is a blight on the community.
Looks worse now than it did at the time.
Didn't we get a delay on the violations because there was promised to be a hotel built? Is there,
No, that's adjacent property, I think.
Is that
This
the
is a
adjacent
different
one?
one, yeah.
It's a different problem. But, I mean, that's just a
I mean,
matter
I think as our attorney, I'd like for you to talk to staff about this because to me, I think you just said it right. I mean, it looks worse than it has when we started all this whole process. So I just, it's a blight. It has been for many years.
Is it under the same ownership?
I don't think there's been any change as far as I know.
But the amount of litigation that's been put into this, the amount of settlement is a relief.
Yeah, definitely. Long couple of years.
Thank you for that report.
Thanks, Dylan.
Okay, any old business, any more comments on monthly activity reports? Okay, comments from the city manager?
Mayor, we do have a new customer. We have the CPAC group that's moving from a city building to another city building. I guess you guys noticed the PD's being remodeled or gutted at this time, which I'm glad, and it's being used. So it's going to get some updates to it, and but it will be the CPAC group.
The whole building.
No, the back half is rented by the fire department. They've got plenty of room, so it's going to work out great. We did a walkthrough and we updated pretty much a lot of the stuff in there. So while the contractor was there, so it needs to be used. So they're going to put some flowers out front, updated inside, so it's going to look kind of nice.
And it expands their footprint, I guess, for the nonprofit work that they do with the youth.
Right.
But just so for public knowledge, who's paying for the renovation and will they be paying rent once it's done?
That I'm negotiating with, but they're paying for everything. We're not paying for anything for that.
But they're not currently paying rent. They're paying utilities,
They,
correct?
exactly.
Yeah.
That's our
It's
agreement
a
with them.
worthwhile group to have in our city. Provide a lot for our youth, so.
Is there any way to assist them in like finding grant sure, you know, the city has more expertise than they do in reaching out and getting those funds.
I see smiles from our rec department.
Well, they got a lot of stuff today.
It says they've already gone down that road. Anything else, Danny?
No, I'm pretty good. I think that's it for me.
Okay, comments by the commission. Commissioner Edmonds?
I'm just excited, number one, about being the number one sports capital of the world or whatever, you know. I mean, I'm just excited that anybody would be looking to come to Clewiston, you know, because we're desperate for expansion and for restaurants and businesses. I would like to, for our few businesses that we do have on 27, I would like to see them clean up their property. Because when you drive through Clewiston, it's, you know, not so friendly and doesn't look so sweet. But I mean, you could at least clean your front door and sweep your front porch, you know. Having owned a business on 27, you know, I just feel like that's important. I've had, you know, people from both coasts say to me, you know, we come through Clewiston, we're going to stop at your business, you know. So I just think that that's important, and I think that keeps our name good here. So anyway, this was an exciting meeting. It was a little long, but that's all I have. I'm excited to have Danny as our city manager.
Thank you. Commissioner Thompson?
Excited about these new properties being annexed in the city. Hopefully we'll see some of these promises come to fruition soon. I know there was some concern in the public about changing of the city managers and maybe the city stumbling or pausing our positive movement because of it, but I assure you the city hasn't stopped for 1 second. I think we picked the best possible man for the job. He has filled some significant positions since he has been the interim, mainly in our finance, our parks and rec, and I don't believe the city has been better off in decades. There's some other positions to fill. He's working on it now, and I look forward to see who he's going to put in there and what we can do.
I agree. Commissioner Gardner?
I'm also, tonight's meeting, you know, just these projects that we've been talking about, especially with the annexation happening and expanding our borders, first time in 99 years. You know, that's a huge step for us as a community, and I believe that the property owners have done that because they have an eye to the future, and for it being named an employment hub, that is my hope that jobs will be created and, you know, businesses will come into that area. It's a good thing for the community. And Barbara, your comments about, you know, the Main Street, you know, we've talked about this through the Main Street Corridor Plan and also for our redevelopment. All of this is, you know, it takes buy-in from the businesses on Highway 27. It is our front porch, and if we don't look appealing, they're not going to go off the road to go look at Lake Okeechobee or come back here for different hunting and fishing opportunities. I mean, I know it for the most part, it does pretty well, but I have confidence that we can do much better, and especially in our bigger plazas. It just seems that there seems to be always constantly a lot of trash, and I know code enforcement's been there quite a bit at the larger plazas, but when you have trash, and I don't know, this is something we might need to consider, is our trash cans requirements. I hate to get so nitpicky about trash cans, but when we go to these places, those trash cans are overflowing and trash is being just scattered everywhere. And, you know, it does not look appealing when you see litter down the highway. So I think that, Danny, what's one of the things, I don't know if in these plazas, the larger plazas, that the requirements of the size of their garbage cans, we might already have that in code. I don't know. But I think that when I go shopping and see overspilling garbage cans, I think that's a clear indication that the garbage cans are not big enough to handle the amount of folks that are there shopping, which is great, but also it needs to be maintained in the garbage can versus in parking lots. Yeah, I think that was it. Then, and Danny, congratulations. You have definitely proven yourself, not only as our utilities director, but as our interim city manager, and that we never missed a beat in the transition. And that I know that in having conversations with you, that you have a vision for the community as being local and being here and seeing it day by day. And so just offer my support to help you and your team get these things done that y'all are envisioning for the community.
No doubt, you guys. Well, we got a great group here. We really do. I forgot to mention I did reach out to FDOT about our 2020 plan. They were excited. They thought we'd forgotten it. I said, well, apparently we have.
The Main Street, the Highway 27.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are going to look at that, Barbara. They're going to get back with me.
Okay, and I know we've started the conversation about redevelopment. I think it's critical. That yes, we have an expansion outside the city limits for the first time, but we have so much land within the city that we really need to redevelop, especially the blighted areas, in my opinion. So, Dylan, I hope you'll help us on that.
Okay, well, I echo those thoughts, especially about Danny being our official city manager, I guess, tonight. So thank you, Danny, for what you've already done. And I know you have a lot of plans for the future, as do many other people. And I think the new people that are on board are doing well and hit the ground running. Already heard many good comments from citizens about they return phone calls. That's amazing. So thank you, guys. It's going to get better and better. That's all I have for tonight. With that, we'll be adjourned. We'll take a 10-minute recess, and we are going to have a short budget meeting.
Mayor, we're going to have to cancel that. It wasn't advertised.
Oh, it was not advertised.
Kathy didn't advertise.
Well, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.